Hello, hello everyone. So for today, we're going to discuss our next topic for Linguistics 1 or our last lesson for the prelim in Linguistics 1, which is truth or truth relations. So for our objective for this lesson, at the end of the lesson, the students should be able to identify the different types of sentences in semantics and analyze sentences in terms of their semantic value. So last meeting or during our last conference, last meeting, we talked about or we discussed about semantics, which is the branch of linguistics, which is concerned with the study of meaning. So for today, we're going to discuss truth or truth relations. So truth is the study of different types of truth embodied in individual sentences and the study of different types of truth relations that hold between sentences. So in terms of linguistics, or in terms of linguistics, specifically in microlinguistics, we are just going to discuss about the types of sentences and how we judge them according to linguistic truth, or what we call as your linguistic falsity. So we start with our types of sentences. First, we have your analytic sentences. So analytic sentences, or an analytic sentence, is defined as a sentence that is necessarily true as the result of the words in it. For example, we have here our sentence, which is an example of an analytic sentence. So a bachelor is an unmarried man. So this is an example of what you call as your analytic sentence. So the sentence is true not because the world is the way it is, but because the English language is the way it is. So if you look up in a dictionary, or if you bring out your dictionary and you browse for the meaning of bachelor, so we have two meanings of bachelor in the dictionary at the very least. So first one, since what we are referring here is bachelor na person who has never been married and is not married. So this sentence is correct because this is how the English language defines bachelor as a word. That's why we consider it as an analytic sentence. So a bachelor is an unmarried man. So again, if you define bachelor in this context in terms of relationship, ano ang meaning ng bachelor? A man who is not and has never been married. That's why it is true, or it is considered as an analytic sentence, because the English language is the way it is. This is how we define but the word bachelor in terms of relationship na bachelor na ginamin in the English language or in the English dictionary. So this is true as per definition. That's why it's an analytic sentence. So analytic sentences are also considered or also known, as your linguistic truth. So simple as that. Next, we have your contradictory sentences, which is just the opposite of your analytic sentence. So contradictory sentence, or these are sentences that are necessarily false as the result of the words in them. So because they are considered false not because of how the world is, but because that is how the English language works, or because of the words used in the sentence. For example, a bachelor is a married man. So we recently, in the past slides, we have just defined bachelor as referring to a person who has not and is not married. So this goes against, or this contradicts the definition of the English language for a bachelor. That's why it is considered as a contradictory sentence, because a bachelor is an unmarried man, not a married man. Kumbaga. So nga pa siya gitawag nga bachelor if married man man gali siya, since we define bachelor in the English language as a person who is not and has never been married. So a male, to be specific, who is not married or has never been married. So this is called a contradictory sentence. Another is a blue gas is colorless. So this is a contradictory sentence as well, because when you say colorless, it means it is devoid or it does not have any color. But when you see a blue gas, there is a contradiction already, because blue is a color. So a blue gas is colorless. This sentence is an example of a contradictory sentence because it goes against it goes against the English language. When you say that something is colorless, it is clear or transparent or does not have any color. So when you say a blue gas, dito pa lang, mali na siya. It's false. Kumbaga. So it's linguistically false. A blue gas is colorless, so this is incorrect. Naghambal ka pa nga colorless, blue man gali siya. Another, a square has 5 equal sides. So in the English language, for example, how do we define square? We define it as a shape that has 4 equal sides and not 5. So if it has 5 equal sides, it's not considered as a square anymore. So it's considered as another name of another shape. So this is an example as well of your linguistic falsity or a contradictory sentence. So very understandable as well. So a square has 5 equal sides. That is false because we define square, or we only consider a shape as a square if it has 4 equal sides only. So a contradictory sentence is also called or also known as your linguistic falsity. Lastly, we have what we call as your synthetic sentences. So synthetic sentences, these are sentences that may be true or false depending on how the world is. So we do not, for example, we cannot judge a sentence na just by inspecting the words on it. We have to verify it on how the world is. For example, John, my next door neighbor, is a pastor. So this is an example of a synthetic sentences because although the sentence or the words used in the sentence are grammatically correct, we cannot verify it, or you can say na okay, that's an analytic sentence. So si John, hindi lang man isa ka John ang nag-exist sa kalibutan. Basi ako may kilala ko nga John, ikaw lain ang kilala mo nga John. So you have to verify, or you cannot be sure na may neighbor John, basi wala gani ko neighbor nga John ang pangalan. You cannot be sure if pastor gid man siya. Perhaps I have a neighbor, but then his occupation is not being a pastor, for example. It depends on the speaker. Kumbaga, that's why it's considered as a synthetic sentence because you have to verify it if it's true or false pa sa world. Depende sa kung sino ang speaker, for example. Another, Mark's mother is of Chinese descent. So this is also an example of your synthetic sentence because you have to verify first, or you have to investigate if Mark's mother is really of Chinese descent. Basi Korean gali, basi Japanese, kumbaga, basi Pinoy, or basi wala na sang mother si Mark. So sad to siya, no? So, but then, that's an example of a synthetic sentence because you cannot say nga, hindi ma'am, it's false. So how can you say that? Kaya perhaps for one person, may kilala siya nga Mark, Chinese ang mama ni Mark. Basi sabi ay may kilala ko nga Mark, Pinoy, Ilonggo lang man to siya. Kumbaga, so you have to verify. So for example, if it's Mark Tuan, ano ba ang mama ni Mark Tuan? So for example, Taiwanese daw. Kumbaga, so you have to verify it kung sino man na siya nga Mark ang gina-consider. But then if you're gonna say nga Mark Tuan's mother is of Chinese descent, so dito ka na pwedeng maka-judge if isa lang na si Mark Tuan sa kalibutan, since Tuan is also it's also a very common surname for their nationality, di ba? So i-verify mo nga sino nga Mark Tuan naman ang ginamin dira before you can say it's false or if it's true. So depende siya on how the world is or kung sino ang speaker, sino nga Mark ang ginamin mo, kumbaga, before you can judge that it's true or not. So again, synthetic sentences, you cannot judge the truth or falsity of the sentence by inspecting the words used in them. Instead, you have to verify the truth or falsity of the sentences empirically, for example, by considering the state of affairs that holds in the world. Like we have here in our previous examples na John, my next door neighbor, is a pastor. So kasi sino ang speaker, sino nga John ang ginamin. So you have to go out there and really interrogate nga, pastor ka ba John? Ikaw ba tong neighbor ni Amone nga speaker? You have to verify it before you can say that it's true or not. Okay, so a synthetic sentence is also known as either an empirical truth or an empirical falsity, depende, as I have said, on your investigations, di ba? If ma-verify mo na true na gid man, for example, that Mark's mother is indeed of Chinese descent or not. So we have here some examples as well of types of sentences for your consumption lang as a review. since this is a very easy topic lang naman. So we have here, cats are not fish. So what is the answer? For example, cats are not fish. So that is an analytic sentence, because when we define cats, they have 4 legs, they are furry, so they do not swim, for example. So it's an analytic sentence because that's how we define cats in the English language. Next, we have some cats eat wool. So we have here the answer for this one, analytic ba, contradictory, or synthetic? So it's synthetic sentence. So why? Although you might assert na ay, hindi umamang amon nga katya pedigree. So siya lang gid nga food ang ginakaon sang amon nga cat. O damog man lang ang ginakaon sang cat, ma'am, wala na sila gakaon sang wool ya. So you cannot verify that. So hindi mo man kapot or wala ka man data sang tanan nga cats sa whole world, nga masigurado mo nga ay ma'am fish lang ang ginakaon nila. Promise. So mag-hold on na lang kami sa promise mo. So you have to verify first if tuod gid man nga all cats do not eat wool, or perhaps may ara dira sang iban nga wala mo lang nakita, kumbaga, or wala mo na lista sa imo nga data nga nagakaon gali sila ya sang wool basi silupin pa ang gikaon. So next, my brother is male. So we consider this analytic ba, contradictory, or synthetic? So this is analytic. Since when we define the word brother, it refers to a sibling or someone of your kin na that is of male na biological or physiological attributes. So syempre pag brother, hindi man ate ang tawag niyo sa mga brother niyo, di ba? Nga older brother, for example. So if ang iyang orientation naman, sexual orientation, of course, we do not judge kung ang brother mo is refers to himself as of another pronoun. Of course, we do not judge that. But of English language standard, we define brother as someone sibling who possesses male physiological attributes. That's why it's considered as analytic sentence. So another, a man is a butterfly. So this is an example of a contradictory sentence. So when we refer to a man, we refer to someone who does not have wings. Kag hindi siya amo na kagamay lang, or kung amo na kag isa lang man usually. So we consider man, or mag-refer lang man ang man sa race, for example, physiological attributes, but hindi siya naga-contain sang attributes that is similar to a butterfly. So butterflies are insects. Kumbaga, although perhaps ma-consider nyo ang mga kilala nyo nga men in your life, nga ano na siya dira, dooli bangbang sa kabuhi nyo, or kung ano man dira siya sila, nga perhaps that's figurative language lang, kumbaga. But if we're referring to a man is a butterfly, so we know that it's not true. If you say a man is a mammal, that's what we can say na it's an analytic sentence, because men or humans are considered as mammals. But when you say a man is a butterfly, that is not true according to the English language. Since taxonomy naman, we do not refer to ourselves as belonging to those to the same category as insects. For example, your butterflies. Okay. Another, John killed Bill, who remained alive for many years after. So John killed Bill, who remained alive for many years after. So the correct answer there is contradictory sentence. If someone kills you, hypothetically, you will cease to exist. So it contradicts na when we define the word kill, or the act of killing someone, when someone is declared dead, and napatay na siya, gipatay, for example, or in that context, you will cease to exist. And antonym siya, syempre, ang ano dere, ang phrase, for example, na who remained alive for many years after. It contradicts your first phrase there na John killed Bill, kumbaga. So ano gali ang natabo? Kumbaga nga John killed Bill na, and then Bill remained alive for many years after. So hindi man siguro immortal si Bill, hindi man siya sang game nga may 6 lives pa nga bilin si Bill. So it's contradictory sentence. So that would be the end for this very short discussion on truth or truth relations for Linguistics 1. So for the activity, I have also published it, kumbaga, or made it available on your course page in the Open LMS. So you're asked there to construct 5 sentences belonging to your analytic sentences and 5 sentences belonging or under your contradictory sentences. So as much as possible, make use of local examples or things that you can see in the locality, or for example, in the Philippines na mga example. Kunyari na Manila is the capital city or the capital of Philippines. Kumaga. So wala naman magamit sinang example ha, since I already made that as an example. So be contextual, kumbaga in your examples na make use of things in the Philippines or for example in your municipality, mga names for example, just to make use of course of our culture or for example those things that you can see in your area. Okay, so that would be all for our discussion once again. So our prelim exam coverage will include until this lesson since I have also discussed this one. So that would be all for today. Good day, stay safe, and God bless.